Hey everyone, it's Aubrey, recovering perfectionist, queen of distractions / gardener. Welcome back for our last garden tour of August. I don't know how the summer months have just come and gone, and I know it's not technically over, but fall is just on the horizon. I know that I've talked about it in past videos, how we've just experienced so much cool and rainy weather. There was like a 2 or 3 day stretch over the course of the last week where we were in rain boots, raincoats. I ordered some rain pants for Alex. Speaking of which, he and his brother are fighting BRB. You know, I am never excited for school to start. It always feels sad. You know, my son's starting the next grade of school and he's getting older and it breaks my heart, but I am looking forward desperately for the two boys to have a break from each other. Oh, they have just had too much quality time together, and there's definitely such a thing. They cannot miss each other if they are always together, and they have been together for a significant period of time. Alrighty, so back to the garden. Even though we've had a ton of rain over the course of the last week, there are some things that I was able to get done and some harvesting that we were able to do. We were able to harvest quite a few beans. I'd say like 30 decent sized beans, but Jackson and Alec ate all of them before we were even able to get them into the house. Apparently raw green beans are delicious. I personally do not taste what they taste, but I'm not complaining. They are eating a very healthy, fresh vegetable that I did not have to cook. So I'm counting it as a win. Green beans are obviously doing wonderful. Let's go look at the cabbage bed. We have cleared out 5 cabbages from the cabbage bed. The one really big one that Jackson was begging me to pick a few weeks ago, and I was like, no, we're gonna wait until I use the one cabbage that we have in the fridge and then we'll pick it. Well, something got to it, and I went back to last week's video and looked at the cabbage, and I just didn't notice it as I was passing through, but whatever had gotten to it, it just looks like a squirrel family came in and had a ton of cabbage. I was able to peel away the damage, but a very significant portion of the cabbage was lost when I did that, but the chickens got some. There were 4 other cabbages in here that were totally fine. And then this one that has had a lot of pest damage that I've talked about pulling out in the past, it looks like it's healing itself, like it's creating a cabbage head, and I don't know what it's going to look like when I do eventually get in there, but I think it might be okay. So over here in lettuce land, Alec was practicing his clipper skills yesterday, and we cut out a few of these plants, pulled those and gave them to the chickens. I'm still leaving a few that need to finish blooming. And then we harvested a bunch of the kale and pulled out the one giant kale plant that was over here and a smaller one. Gave those to the chickens. You ate it all? You want to come in the garden with me? We harvested a bunch of that and then pulled out those. I gave some to a friend who actually loves to eat kale, so that worked out that I was able to find a home for most of that. And then we have some broccoli that's coming up over here on these broccoli stalks. And then I harvested some of the kale from over there as well. Didn't pull anything out from over here. I think that the chickens must be getting tired of their leafy greens at this point, but I appreciate that somebody is eating them. And then this bed here on top of the kale that we pulled out, I did pull out some of the old broccoli stalks that were in here. And I think that by pulling out those, I'm going to be giving these beans a lot more sun, but they're making a ton of progress just in the last week. And then very exciting news regarding our strawberries. We thought that they were completely done. We had gotten really just a ton of the small white ones and none of the big red berries. But the other day when we were doing our bean and cabbage harvest, Jackson came over here and noticed like 5 or 6 really big red strawberries. And we were only able to actually eat like 2 or 3 of them because unfortunately, because of all the rain that we had had, there were a few that were just sitting in water. And so even though the tops looked really great, the bottoms were moldy. So that was disappointing, but also very exciting because we weren't expecting to get anything else out of this bed. Look, my sweet boys have joined me. Hello.
Oh, another one.
Another one what?
Slug.
Oh, another slug. This cherry tomato plant is, I don't want to say it's getting out of hand. I obviously have not done any pruning on it. It is giant. I don't really know where the cherry plant and this pumpkin plant begins. This big pumpkin plant over here, I haven't been able to find a sign of any gourd action, but I need to go through there today, and even if I'm not finding any fruit, I need to trim back just some of the leaves to give the watermelons on the other side some sun. I don't think that we're gonna get watermelons, but I don't want to give up just yet because I just really wanted watermelons this year. I do not know why I didn't just start those from seed in the house. It said 80 days to harvest, so I just assumed that like we'd have more than 80 days in the growing season. It would be fine for them to be outside, but it just, summer really hasn't been summer Like we've had a ton of cloudy weather, gray skies, and way more rain and cooler temperatures than we've experienced in summers past. I'd say it's been like a hot and muggy spring. Like I'm already a little bit seasonally depressed. My St. John's wort and I are going to be very close this upcoming fall and winter season. I haven't really talked much about what is in here. Apparently I'm growing dandelions, but this is like a Pacific bleeding heart, and then some really giant clover that Jackson and I had found on a camping trip that we had gone on, and then my lavender over here, which is way too wet, but I mean, hey, it's looking pretty good for being soaked. Up here, my asters have been blooming the last couple weeks, and I haven't really had a chance or have just forgotten to talk about them, but they are absolutely gorgeous. This one in particular, I have 3 of in my bedroom right now, and they've been in just the same vase of water for over a week now, and they look just as good, if not better, than the first day that I put them in there. This is my first time successfully growing asters. This random like 59-cent seed packet did significantly better than the $5 like Baker Creek seed asters that I had gotten a couple years ago. Literally none of them germinated. So I need to figure out how to save seeds from these for next year, because I want these coming back 100%. And then while we're over here, we're just gonna cut back some of this calendula. I've been able to harvest and dry a decent amount, nothing crazy, but any little bit that I'm able to clip off here and there, I've been trying to dry. They are a little bit damaged from the rain that we had, but what am I gonna do? I live where I live. And then also, like, I just wanna figure out, like, where is it? Oh, there's a little baby pumpkin there, okay. Okay, I'm making a decision. The pumpkins are obviously doing significantly better than the watermelon is. I know where I'm going to plant my watermelon next year to give it a lot more heat. I'm going to start it ahead of time. I'm not investing my time or energy trying to get the watermelon to make anything. Like, there's not even any blooms on it, which is disappointing because I really wanted the boys to have a little watermelon, but it is not happening. But there's at least hope for more pumpkins, which, you know, if you were with us last year for our pumpkin harvest, the boys absolutely love. So sorry, watermelons, I'm not going to worry about trying to provide you sun because you're not going to make anything in time. So we're focusing the energy on the pumpkins. I will. All right, this garden tour is gonna have to wrap up quick because the boys are wanting to go out into the field to pick blackberries. So, but I'll add a clip of that because it's delicious and fun and gardeny, right? Just quick, let's peek at this. So much better than we were at the beginning of the year. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was in rough shape. Those beans are climbing. That sunflower survived all the rain. The little flowers down below, the zinnia. And then I think that right here is the only Cosmo that is coming up out of all the Cosmos that I planted. I planted like an entire pack of seeds in various places in the yard, and that's the only one that came up. My chamomile is in desperate need of harvesting, so I'm just trying to get, you know, at least a handful here and there. I should just be trying to grab a flower or 2 or 3 every time I walk by, but then I don't like having them in a huge variety of phases of drying, so I think that the better choice is to just grab a handful whenever I have the chance to stop. And Jackson decided he did not want to go out to the field to pick blackberries anymore, so I'm taking this opportunity to just get a couple handfuls of these so I can get these drying before they are dead. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I also need to figure out about drying seeds and saving these. Last year, the chamomile that I had grown in a couple places, I had just kind of like back and forth and let it drop the seeds, and that didn't really work out. Like, it came up, but it came up like really randomly and sporadically, and I want it all to come up at once like this. So I think that what I'm going to do is just save a few of the heads and dry them, and then I'll sprinkle the seeds accordingly when that time comes next year. And I don't know exactly where I'll end up putting them next year. I'll probably end up doing something different, probably more of a flower bed situation, because I like utilizing this climbing opportunity for things like cucumbers, things that climb, but also things that are resistant to, you know, rabbits and deer. So basically cucumbers. Okay, and then speaking of cucumbers, down at the other end of the janky brick road, there was this cucumber that was like right next to the new plants that I had planted for my mom, but it was just tangled up in this nasturtium and I didn't even notice it at all until it started getting these little blooms on it. So trying to nurture that and give it a little space. I think it's probably within the next couple weeks I'm going to end up pulling these out just because they're starting to look a little... you're amazing. There's so many blooms on these. I'm still waiting for the sunflowers and the cabbage bed to bloom, but those haven't yet. The snapdragons are still beautiful, but some of them are coming to the end of their blooms. I think it was this one that my friend liked, and I need to make sure to save the seed pods from that. But for the most part, even though I will save seeds from the snapdragons, I'm just gonna let all of these just drop their seeds in the same spot, and this is just dedicated snapdragon land. And then still no signs of anything. Oh, but wait, look. There's a little melon on this thing. We will see what happens there. I am not losing hope, but I'm not getting my hopes up. Snapdragons dropping. That rain really just took the life out of them. And still nothing new and tiny in zucchini land, but a ton of flowers. Oh, look. Little baby. And then my mullein. This one over here that's growing out of this zucchini plant, I have been trying to harvest the blooms off of to dry for teas and stuff. And then this is probably the one that I'll end up taking leaves off of to make my mullein tincture. I'm really looking forward to adding mullein to like my herbal go-to. This is my first year trying it, but I have a friend who said that they used it last year during cold season and it just made such a huge difference whenever they had any kind of congestion. I've heard it described as nature's mucinex, the flowers and the leaves. So I'm looking forward to trying that. I'm most likely going to be making a tincture with mine, but she said that they just had theirs as a tea. It was kind of gross. She said she added lemon balm in hers, which maybe I'll do both. I'll try a little bit of each. Dry some for tea, dry some to make a tincture. Alrighty, we are going to wrap things up, but I wanted to just document the current size of the big pumpkin before we wrap things up for the day. Big pumpkin, foot for reference. I'm so excited about that pumpkin, but also here, we're gonna take a quick, all right, just zoom in on the zinnias in the front. Those are doing so great. We're also gonna take a peek at big little white pumpkin. Oh, and more in pumpkin land. I think this might be one of those blue pumpkins that I was being very sad about not growing. I think that might be one. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 little white baby pumpkins. I'm so excited about those. It is gonna be a good pumpkin year. See, I like growing vegetables and stuff, but there are just things like tomatoes and cabbage that just feel so temperamental. I would really just be content growing flowers and pumpkins. I could do like a cut flower garden and a pumpkin garden. Am I allowed to do that? Can I do that? Alrighty, I'll be there in a minute. Alrighty, boys want me to push them on the swing or send them to the moon, if you will. This is the current status of the bean teepee. Ta-da! That is that for today's garden tour. Thank you for tagging along with me for the last garden tour of August. I will see you in September. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next one. As always, I love you, have fun, and be kind.